This is the danger of the burn it down, folks. And let me walk through this. I look at a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters. I don't think it's a coincidence there are people who have transitioned from supporting Bernie Sanders to supporting Donald Trump. Because when you look at the language, things along those lines. Do I believe there should be massive changes to the system? Absolutely. Do I believe that it should be a question of fairness and inclusivity? Absolutely. But the danger is when you sit across from somebody who's a MAGA-loving, Second Amendment, when they start talking, it's like, well, we agreed together. Like every time I hear Cenk Uygur talk, oh, how we got to sit down and talk to these people. I'm like, dude, you getting played. You're getting played. Well, we both agree. We both agree on cutting the Pentagon budget. If you show me a so-called Republican that is going to advocate for cutting the Pentagon budget, I'm going to show you somebody who's playing your ass like a fiddle. Now, the reason I say we have to be very careful is because when someone argues burn it down, they forget there are some arsonists who know how to burn just that one building. There are some people who have no regard for the whole block. And it'll be like, yeah, the whole block got torched. My bad, but I still got that one house. These people, they don't want to torch a house. They don't want to torch a block. They literally want to torch neighborhoods, cities. They actually want to torch every blue state. They want the blue states to suffer. They want them to beg. They want them to grovel. Donald Trump wants Pritzker. Donald Trump, I believe, prays that a natural disaster hit blue states. So he, like a king, can sit there and go, beg, you peasant, beg, crawl to me, kiss my ring. That's who this man is. And he has now, by having control of the entire apparatus, by having a party that will let him do whatever he wants from the House and the Senate, for at least the next 2 years, he could literally say to America and the world, get on your knees and beg and kiss my feet to do what I want, and you have no choice. That's who this man is.
He absolutely is, Roland. And he's the president this country deserves. He is an accurate barometer, I think, of the rapid decay of American politics. He is the second spokesmodel president after Ronald Reagan. And that should have set off the alarm bells when Reagan won the office. Mm-hmm. As Gil Scott-Heron said, this man is a bad actor from a B movie, and he's the president of the United States. First of all, Mitch McConnell, you can go to hell. This is all on you, baby.
Yep.
So your little street theater, you can count too, you old feckless bastard. So you knew that the man was going to get confirmed just because you had polio as a child. Look at me. No sympathy for you. Citizens United, you punk. Your friend McConnell, Beer Kavanaugh, you did this. So
and he did it by not voting to convict Trump. Had he voted to convict, he could have never run again.
That's exactly right. So if you think this vote is going to keep you out of hell, let's find out together. Anyway, that having been said, Roland, you really put your finger on it. Of course, many voters who voted for Sanders voted for Trump. And, I understand the argument. Bernie Sanders, who was Jesse Jackson's, the leader of the Rainbow Coalition campaign in Vermont when Jackson ran for president in '84, who has always put class at the center, not ignoring race, but almost always glossing over it. Mm-hmm. Bernie's an old school socialist, old school democratic socialist with Marxist leanings. And I absolutely understand the argument. I have a lot of friends that way. They will argue that if you don't force the crisis, ultimately you can't get to the resolution. And there's a lot to be said for that argument, but they seem to forget that there are people in harm's way. And those people are going to suffer right now. Now, you know, we're Southerners. Nolan know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about out of Texas, Roland. We ain't got to like white people, and they ain't got to like us for us to pull together and do some things together. We all know folks like that.
Right.
People who, you know, people who would look at us and say, why you talking to so-and-so outside? Hey, Jeb ain't going to bother us. He going to vote the same way. Those are the Jimmy Carter people. Those people are dying now. Most of them dead. These people that Jimmy Carter was able to corral for one last walk in the sun for the possibility of an America. That America died with James Earl Carter, friends. That having been said, what we are faced with now is probably the inevitable. What Mayor Woodfin said about the fact that scientific research in the United States are not competing just with people in the United States, but the world, he's absolutely right. But here's where I think we have a problem. And this is where I think this will ultimately read the death of the United States of America. And Dr. King talked about this when he said that when America dies, the autopsy part of it will read Vietnam. And he also talked about it when he said that, you know, our friendship with Canada isn't based on us being Americans. Our friendship with Canada is based on us being black people, and that being the place where the North Star was. The problem we have is we believe in this patriotic myth making, so much so that even Cory Booker, good brother Cory Booker, will continue to talk about colleagues. I mean, these people are not your colleagues, my friend, just because of where they came out their mother's womb. And they're working on birthright citizenship. And do not believe for a second that that is safe. You better go read that Kim case from the late 1800s where that Chinese guy came over here. And they are really not aiming at the beginning of where you came out your mother's womb, but the second part of that sentence, which is subject to the authority thereof. They might be able to get birthright citizenship, which would add them to the majority of countries in the world, because only about 20% of the countries in the world actually deal with birthright citizenship. Much of it is bloodline. We have never been Americans, and we will never be Americans, okay? I don't care how clever and how brilliant and how remixing Kendrick Lamar can do a halftime show with Stars and Stripes and Uncle Sam can come out, Samuel L. Jackson. You're never going to be an American in the eyes of these white nationalists. To pretend that you are, however, works in there to their advantage, and I'll tell you why. There are people who believe in this country. I believe the young lady that you talked about earlier with Congressman Ivey, Danielle Sassoon, does. She is a dyed-in-the-wool Federalist Society. She's 38 years old. She has rocketed up to the top of the Southern District of New York, the so-called independent federal prosecutors, and she did it without compromising any of her rock-solid values, Antonin Scalia, and she was promoted in serial Democratic-appointed attorneys in New York. She made her advances in AGs who were appointed by the Obama administration, the Biden administration. So this is a kind of ideologue who believes in the rule of law. What you just saw is that these white nationalists, as you said, they don't believe in any law. They're going to purge the very Federalists. This is why John Roberts probably wearing a diaper to work every day, because he's defecating in his pants, because he realizes with Citizens United, you unleashed this beast. You made the mistake of thinking that they believe in this country. They do not, which is why Elon Musk ain't gonna have no beef with China, because they just opened a mega battery factory in China this week. Understand? So it comes down to this. If we're gonna fight these people, we have to understand. And what we just heard Dr. Haynes say should send a chill through everybody. These white boys see the earth as a material resource to cannibalize and move forward. Elon Musk sees it as a means to an end. The end is Mars. And he's going to leave your ass here. The bottom line is the only people who believe in the possibilities of America are either naive or so willing to put themselves in harm's way, and that's a lot of people in the Black Power, the Civil Rights Movement wanted to do it, or they simply are stupid. And so what we have to do at this point is understand our history so deeply that when we move forward, combined with this fact, and you talked about this every time, Roland, you talk about it all the time. Reverend Barber did something today he had never done in public that I've seen in the last few, which is come out on a political side. You know, you don't do that in repairs of the breach. We've got to understand we have the numbers. I'm not just talking about black people, but it's got to come out of a black base. We have the numbers to stop this. And I don't mean to stop it in a short term only. I mean to achieve a type of vision that a Bernie Sanders or a Jesse Jackson or a Nina Turner, or for that matter, the Congressional Black Caucus actually believe in. But in order to do it, we got to drop this pretense that we're talking with colleagues and comrades. These people are our open enemies, and they are the open enemies of everything except their agenda. They will throw the white people overboard, just like they did with Danielle Sassoon today.
Mm-hmm.
Support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. You heard what we just talked about there. Folks, I can't reiterate this enough. Listen to me clearly. I cannot reiterate this enough. When you've got technology companies running scared, when you've got legacy media not doing their job, when you've got black-owned media that is disintegrated, now is more than ever for us to have independent media that cares about the truth, that is willing to say what needs to be said. So when you support Roland Martin Unfiltered, this show, when you support the Black Star Network, you're not just supporting me, you're supporting the other shows. Our goal is to add 2 more shows this year. We want additional shows. We want more weekly and daily shows because we want to be able to speak truth to power. We want to be able to say what is necessary where other people are scared. And when you are scared, when you're looking over your shoulder, oh my God, that advertising contract is not going to come in. Well, guess what? A lot of these major ad agencies, they're not even supporting us anyway. You know, in 6 years of doing this show, Group M hasn't done a damn thing with us. Publicis hasn't done anything with us. You've got Horizon, you've got all of these folks, they haven't done jack. And so we are calling it like we see it, and we're speaking truth. And unlike some of these other so-called progressives and people who believe in truth, I'm not running around trying to kiss MAGA ass and kiss Trump's ass. I won't be going to Mar-a-Lago, not for a damn thing. And so this is about us being able to speak truth. So when you support this show and this network with your resources, it is exactly what is happening because we are trying to build something that is bigger and broader, and actually it has the courage to say what needs to be said, even when it makes other folk uncomfortable. If you want to contribute giving Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. This is it right here. And if you are listening, simply go to blackstarnetwork.com to check it out. Also, if you want to see your checking money order, some of y'all old school, we understand that. See your checking money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003 7-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And again, folks, we've got some 4 million social media followers. If only 20,000 of our fans contribute at least $50 each, which comes out to $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day, that's $1 million that allows us to be able to continue to build, to add these shows and do the work that's required. So your support is needed. So please join our Bring the Funk fan club today. If you've not already joined, if you have given to us in the past, please renew your commitment because it's important that we support Black-owned media because Black-owned media matters.